You know that feeling when you head out to the chicken coop with an egg basket full of hope, only to find nothing but a lot of clucking and not a single egg in sight. Those mornings can be tough. It feels like the hens have collectively taken a holiday without notifying you. But if it makes you feel any better, even seasoned farmers experience these egg droughts and wonder why their hens treat laying like a part-time job. Chickens, as it turns out, are finicky little creatures with moods as unpredictable as teenagers. Getting them to lay consistently is sometimes as challenging as convincing a cat to take a bath. One of the main reasons hens stop laying eggs is because of shorter daylight hours. Chickens are like little solar panels. They need sunlight to keep their egg-laying machinery going. When winter rolls in, the shorter days can mean fewer eggs. Another common cause for a halt in egg production is molting. Once a year, hens shed their old feathers in a process that resembles a feather explosion. It's like they're getting a whole new wardrobe, and while they're busy with this makeover, egg-laying is temporarily on hold. Imagine trying to juggle spa day with work. It's a no-go. And if that wasn't enough, chickens can be surprisingly picky about their environment. Almost anything can disrupt their routine. A neighbor's dog barking, overcrowded nesting boxes, or even a squeaky coop door. I once had a particularly fussy hen who refused to lay eggs because the coop door hinge was squeaky. After I fixed it, she went right back to laying like clockwork. You'd think she was royalty with all her high standards. Over time, I've learned that feeding chickens isn't as simple as tossing them some corn and scraps. One winter, I tried doubling up on corn to keep them warm, thinking it would boost egg production. Instead, my hens just got round and lazy, like they were all taking a winter break. Turns out too many carbs can turn hens into little feathered couch potatoes. They need protein to produce eggs, not just a carb-heavy diet that makes them sluggish. Lesson learned. I've also experimented with adding mealworms to their diet during molting season, and let me tell you, it was like they were sprinting to the nesting boxes afterward. Chickens respond well to balanced nutrition, and mealworms provide just the right boost. When they get the right mix of nutrients, especially protein, suddenly they're on their A game in the egg-laying department. Too many carbs, and you end up with hens lounging around instead of producing eggs. Chickens might not have teeth, but they've evolved a clever system for digesting food: grit. These tiny stones help grind down the grains and seeds they eat. Without grit, their food just sits there, undigested. Amish farmers have known this trick for ages, making sure their chickens always have access to grit. It's like giving your car high-quality fuel instead of whatever's cheap. And don't make the mistake of confusing grit with oyster shells. Oyster shells dissolve over time and are actually more of a calcium supplement than a digestive aid. When I introduced grit to my flock, at first they gave me a look like I'd gone crazy. But after a few days they seemed more energetic and egg production picked up again. It was a small change that made a big difference. If you're letting your chickens roam freely, they might find their own grit naturally, but in bad weather or winter, they'll need you to supply it. The Amish pay attention to details like this because they know every little thing counts. Finally, we're passionate about sharing knowledge that can help people in the long term. One book we recommend is by Claude Davis, a survival expert who shares insights on 126 superfoods and preservation techniques that date back to the Great Depression and wartime. These time-tested methods could be invaluable in times of crisis, and this book is a goldmine for anyone looking to preserve old skills for future generations. That's all for today. We hope these insights on keeping your chickens happy and productive were helpful. If you're watching on TV, you can check out our channel, Frugal Solutions, on your phone or tablet to find links to our recommended books right in our channel description or in any video description. It's kind of funny when you think about it. Who would have guessed that the secret to getting more eggs was just some well-placed grit? The Amish sure understand it. They know good digestion leads to more eggs, and a steady egg supply means fewer mornings starting with disappointment over an empty egg basket. Like us, chickens need the right nutrients to stay productive. Tossing a few scraps their way or feeding them corn won't get you a basket full of eggs. Hens need vitamins and proteins in the right balance, and that's where natural supplements make a difference. Apple cider vinegar is one of those natural tricks Amish farmers swear by. A splash in their water, about a tablespoon per gallon, keeps hens hydrated, supports digestion, and even fends off common ailments that can disrupt laying. Think of it as a tonic for their well-being. When I started adding ACV to my flock's water, egg production shot up. It felt like finding a hidden gem in my own backyard. Garlic is another go-to remedy. Just a clove here and there in their feed can strengthen their immune systems. It even keeps most parasites at bay. I thought my hens might not like it, but they gobbled it up as if they were gearing up for an Italian feast. And no vampire problems in the coop so far. Then there are herbs like oregano and thyme, loaded with antioxidants that bolster the hen's immunity. Some Amish farmers believe that parsley sprigs also encourage laying, and while I can't confirm it directly, my flock sure seemed more energetic. They strutted around like gourmet critics, inspecting the latest cuisine. When it comes to laying consistently, hens need protein, especially during molting season when they're focused on growing feathers rather than eggs. Commercial layer feed with 16 to 18% protein is standard, but the Amish turn to natural sources like mealworms and black soldier fly larvae to give their birds an extra boost. Watching hens go after mealworms is like seeing kids at a candy store. They dive in, feathers flying. The added protein quickly gets them back to laying, which is what matters. It's interesting how much this process boils down to balancing nutrition. The Amish know that laying eggs isn't magic, it's about meeting the hen's needs. They don't rely on fancy supplements either. Instead, they use whatever's available, like vegetable scraps and leftover dairy. And if I toss some greens like kale or clover into the mix, the eggs look even more vibrant. Maybe it's science, or maybe it's just a nice bonus. But those eggs always feel like a little win. Another trick for better egg production is variety in their diet. Chickens get bored with the same old feed just like people do, so the Amish mix things up by adding black oil sunflower seeds occasionally. High in fat and protein, these seeds are like an egg-laying superfood. One Amish farmer even told me that chickens need surprises in their diet, and from the way my hens react, I think he's onto something. But as with anything, balance is key. Too much protein or rich treats can lead to heavy hens, which isn't ideal for laying. I once went overboard with mealworms, and my hens started to look more plump than productive. It was a good lesson in moderation, even with treats. This constant balancing act, monitoring their diet, adjusting for molting and switching up treats, is what keeps the eggs rolling in, even through winter. It's not just about feeding and hoping for the best. It's about paying attention to what the hens need at any moment. When you get it right, those eggs come in steadily no matter the season. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested in learning more about traditional farming wisdom, we recommend a book by Claude Davis. It's packed with information on 126 superfoods and preservation techniques that go back to crisis times, like the Great Depression. This knowledge could be invaluable for future generations, and we think it's a treasure worth passing on. You can find a link to his book in our channel description. Amish farmers know just how to keep their hens happy without turning them into feathered freeloaders. They give their chickens treats sparingly, like a grandparent slipping a cookie to a grandkid, just enough to make them smile, not enough to spoil their appetite. Greens are the top treat on the list. Kale, spinach, and lettuce are scattered across the yard like party confetti, packed with nutrients that keep the hens in peak shape and even encourage more egg production. One farmer told me, "If you want eggs, feed them greens like you're throwing a garden party." And he was right. Happy hens mean healthy eggs, and that means fewer trips to the feed store. Timing is also key, especially with fruits. Apples and berries make occasional appearances, like dessert at a Sunday dinner. In moderation, they're refreshing and hydrating, especially in the summer, but don't overdo it. I learned that the hard way after a watermelon frenzy one July. My hens were so busy pecking at the juicy slices that they ignored the nesting boxes for a whole day. Lesson learned. Even chickens know how to slack off after a big dessert. Surprisingly, pumpkin is a real superstar among treats. Not only do chickens love it, but it doubles as a natural dewormer. Amish farmers crack open pumpkins in the fall and let the hens have at it, keeping the flock healthy as winter approaches. Watching them go wild over a pumpkin is like witnessing a mini autumn festival in the coop. Of course, none of these treats replace a balanced diet. Amish farmers are careful to use snacks as an egg-boosting supplement rather than a replacement for essentials. This balance keeps the hens from getting too full to eat their regular feed. If you've ever given a kid candy before dinner, you know how that goes, and chickens are no different. Too many treats, and they might look at their feed like a kid looks at broccoli. But when done right, the results show up in the nest box. More eggs, healthier eggs, and hens that seem a little too proud of themselves. With just a few smart choices, these hens get back to business, laying eggs like it's their job. But not every hen is an egg-laying rock star forever. Even the Amish know when it's time for their older hens to retire. A hen's prime laying years are around 2 to 3 years, after which their production naturally slows down. Instead of keeping a bunch of freeloaders, Amish farmers keep a steady rotation, bringing in younger hens as the older ones ease out of egg duty. It's like knowing when your old car's check engine light is more than just a suggestion, and when an older hen isn't producing eggs, she's not simply tossed aside. Often they're used to make rich broths which add a home-style flavour to meals. I remember when one of my own hens, Mildred, stopped laying. She strutted around like a yard queen, clearly done with egg-laying. When I finally made soup, it felt like a cosy hug from a farm kitchen. This rotation system isn't heartless. It's practical. The Amish respect their animals, but also run an efficient farm. When older hens leave, new ones take their place seamlessly. It's a straightforward approach that keeps the flock healthy and productive. Old hens sometimes develop health problems, which can stress out younger hens and reduce egg production. Introducing new hens gradually keeps things running smoothly and keeps the egg baskets full. Cleanliness is another non-negotiable for Amish farmers. They keep the coop spotless, knowing that a dirty coop won't inspire hens to lay. It's like a 5-star hotel service for chickens. By scooping droppings and refreshing bedding regularly, they cut down on illness too. A sick or uncomfortable hen won't be laying eggs anytime soon. I once left my coop a little too long without cleaning, and my hens looked at me like they'd checked into a rundown motel. But after a deep clean and some fresh pine shavings, they were back to laying eggs like I'd earned myself a 5-star Yelp review. Routine bedding changes are essential, and the Amish replace bedding with precision, not waiting for things to get out of hand. They know that damp bedding can attract parasites and bacteria, which can affect both the health and mood of the hens, and when one bird gets sick, it can quickly spread through the flock. Through a thoughtful balance of treats, cleanliness, and respect for the hen's life cycle, Amish farmers create an environment where hens thrive. The hens get the right blend of routine, nutrition, and care, and the farmers get a steady supply of fresh, delicious eggs year-round. It's like a domino effect. As soon as one chicken falls ill, the whole flock starts showing symptoms. That's why Amish farmers prioritize a clean coop. A little extra work to keep things tidy pays off when egg production stays high and hens stay healthy. It's funny, chickens remind me of my grandma. If the kitchen wasn't clean, she'd let you know. One day she took a look at my coop and gave me the same disapproving look she saves for a sticky countertop. Sure enough, after I cleaned up, the hens went back to laying as if they had a point to prove. Morale of the story: when in doubt, channel your inner grandma. When winter arrives, Amish farmers break out their special tricks: warm bedding and insulated coops. This isn't just to keep the hens cozy, it's also key to keeping up egg production. Like us reaching for soup to stay warm, hens need extra energy in the cold months. Keeping warm burns calories, which can leave less energy for egg laying. To counteract this, Amish farmers serve up high protein and higher fat foods, even incorporating some kitchen scraps. With these nutrient-dense meals, hens are more likely to lay eggs consistently. Honestly, if I had a snack every time it snowed, I'd probably be a pro at egg laying too, if I were a chicken, that is. And there's another trick up their sleeve: lighting. During winter, Amish farmers either use natural sunlight by placing their coops to catch the most daylight, or they add a small bulb to mimic daylight hours. This little extra light helps trick hens into thinking it's still summer, keeping egg production steady. It's like a mini tropical getaway for them. Now, pampering the hens doesn't mean their lives are worry-free. They still face challenges, especially on those cold mornings when they'd rather snuggle up in their bedding than go outside. Amish farmers are meticulous about keeping coops clutter-free and clean, creating a healthy space where hens can focus on what's important: laying eggs. A tidy coop reduces illness and keeps the hens in a good mood. After all, a clean coop is a happy coop. Of course, all the warmth and cleanliness won't make a difference if the hens are stressed. Amish farmers understand that a relaxed hen is a productive hen. If you think about it, it's like working in a calm environment versus a chaotic one. Chickens don't lay well when they're anxious, so keeping the coop serene and avoiding overcrowding is key. Cozy nesting boxes allow each hen her own space, so there's no fighting for the best spot. When I expanded my own coop, I noticed an instant difference. The hens seemed happier and the egg count shot up. Just like anyone who's had to share a bathroom, chickens value their space. And here's a fun fact. Happy chickens can lay up to 30% more eggs than their stressed counterparts. It turns out, hens appreciate peace and quiet as much as anyone. But while a calm environment is essential, so is a nutritious diet. Amish farmers ensure that their hens receive a balanced mix of protein and other essential nutrients, keeping their productivity high. After all, a hen can't lay on an empty stomach, just like I can't start my day without my morning coffee. Now let's talk about molting, that annual feather shedding season when hens take a break from laying. It's a bit like their version of a makeover. Each year they shed their old feathers and grow new ones, but during this process, egg production halts. Amish farmers embrace molting as a natural part of a hen's life, but they don't just sit back and wait for the eggs to return. Instead, they up the protein in the hen's diet during this time, providing treats like mealworms or black soldier fly larvae to help speed up the process. It's a bit like giving kids extra treats to encourage them to finish their chores. My first molting season was a learning experience. When my flock decided to molt all at once, it looked like a pillow fight had erupted in the coop with feathers everywhere. My kids found it hilarious, but my egg basket was suddenly empty. It was a clear reminder of how important timing is when it comes to managing a flock. Amish farmers stagger molting among their hens, ensuring that while some are taking a break, others are still laying eggs. This relay-like approach keeps egg production steady, so there are always enough eggs for the family. For the hens, molting is like a spa day. They shed their old feathers and strut around looking refreshed. If hens had Instagram, they'd be posting before and after shots all winter. It's a temporary egg drought, but the payoff is worth the wait. Ultimately, keeping chickens productive is about more than just feeding them. Amish farmers know that a calm environment, careful stress management, and a balanced diet are all crucial to keeping their flock happy and healthy. With these thoughtful methods, it's no wonder Amish hens produce eggs even through the coldest months. If my hens can lay all winter without fancy equipment or supplements, I must be doing something right. Or maybe the Amish really do have the secrets to life and eggs. So here's to these hard-working farmers and their devoted hens. The Amish way of egg production is a lesson in patience, care, and balance.